The unexpected invitation. Captain Marcus Webb stared at the holographic message floating above his command console aboard the UES Defiant. The transmission had arrived 3 hours ago, encrypted with protocols he'd never seen before. The alien. Script twisted and pulsed like living flame, but the universal translator had done its job well enough. A formal invitation to peace talks, Webb muttered, running his weathered hand through graying hair. From Queen Vexara of the Zephyrian Empire. Lieutenant Commander Jade Morrison stepped closer, her tactical uniform crisp despite the long shift. Sir, our xenobiology team confirms the Zephyrians have never initiated diplomatic contact with any species. This breaks centuries of their isolation protocols. Webb nodded grimly. The Zephyrians were legendary across the galaxy, a mysterious empire that controlled 17 star systems through sheer technological superiority. Their ships moved like liquid mercury through space, and their weapons could slice through planetary shields like paper. Most species gave them a wide berth. "What's your assessment, Morrison?" Webb asked, trusting his second-in-command's tactical instincts. "It's either genuine diplomacy or the most elaborate trap in galactic history," she replied. "The meeting coordinates place us in neutral space, equidistant from both our territories. Standard diplomatic protocol suggests they're serious." Chief Engineer Tobias Kane looked up from his diagnostic pad, oil stains marking his jumpsuit. "Captain, I've been monitoring their ship movements for weeks. 3 Zephyrian dreadnoughts have been holding position near the designated coordinates. Either they're really committed to this peace talk, or they're planning something big." The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Webb had commanded the Defiant for 12 years, navigating humanity through first contact with 17 different species. Some had become allies, others remained neutral, and a few had required firm persuasion to respect human space. But the Zephyrians were different. They were older, more advanced, and completely unpredictable. "Sir," Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka spoke up from her station, "we're receiving follow-up transmissions from the Zephyrian Queen. She's specifically requesting you by name, Captain, and she's offering to share advanced propulsion technology as a gesture of goodwill." Webb's eyebrows shot up. Zephyrian technology was centuries ahead of human engineering. Their offer could revolutionize space travel for humanity, opening up entire sectors of the galaxy previously beyond reach. "There's more," Tanaka continued, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. "She's transmitting on channels that shouldn't exist. Our sensors can barely detect the signal frequencies she's using." Morrison stepped forward, her hand instinctively moving toward her sidearm. "Captain, this feels wrong. Aliens don't just appear out of nowhere offering gifts, especially not aliens who've spent centuries avoiding contact." Webb studied the tactical display showing the neutral meeting point. It was a region of space known for its gravitational anomalies, where conventional sensors had limited range. Perfect for a diplomatic meeting, or perfect for an ambush. "Set course for the coordinates," Webb decided. "But keep our weapon systems on standby. If Queen Vexara wants to talk, we'll listen, but we'll be ready for anything." The Queen's Gambit. The Zephyrian royal vessel materialized out of folded space like a dream becoming reality. Captain Webb had seen plenty of alien ships, but nothing like this. The craft seemed to be carved from a single piece of crystalline material that shifted colors with each pulse of its engines. It was beautiful, elegant, and utterly terrifying in its implications. "Visual contact confirmed," reported sensor specialist Drake Holloway, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Captain, their ship is generating energy signatures I've never seen before. It's like they're pulling power directly from the vacuum of space itself." Webb stood at the center of the bridge, watching as the alien vessel approached. "Any signs of weapons, Holloway?" "That's the problem, sir. I can't tell where their ship ends and their weapons begin. The entire hull appears to be some kind of adaptive technology." Queen Vexara's image flickered to life in the center of the bridge, transmitted through subspace channels that made human communication systems look primitive. She was tall, perhaps 8 feet, with skin that seemed to contain flowing liquid, starlight. Her eyes were twin galaxies, swirling with colors that had no names in human language. Most striking were the crystalline formations that grew from her skull like a crown of living gems. "Captain Webb," she spoke, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in their bones. "I am pleased you accepted my invitation. Your species has impressed me." Webb stepped forward, every diplomatic protocol he'd ever learned suddenly feeling inadequate. "Your Majesty, humanity is honored by your invitation. We hope this marks the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples." Queen Vexara smiled, revealing teeth like polished diamonds. "Oh, Captain, peace was never the purpose of this meeting." Morrison's hand dropped to her weapon, but Webb raised a subtle hand to stop her. "Then why did you bring us here?" "I brought you here because your species has done something remarkable," the Queen continued, her form seeming to shift slightly as she spoke. "In 3 centuries of expansion, you have never destroyed a sentient species. You negotiate, adapt, compromise. This is unusual." Chief Kane frowned from his engineering station. "Ma'am, with respect, that doesn't explain why you've broken your own isolation protocols." The Queen's laugh was like crystal chimes in a hurricane. "Clever human, you're correct. I have broken every rule my people hold sacred by contacting you. Directly. The Council of Stars believes I've committed treason." Webb felt the pieces clicking together in his mind. "You're not here representing your empire. You're here because you're running from it." "Running is such an inadequate word," Queen Vexara replied, her eyes flashing with something that might have been anger or amusement. "I prefer to think of it as strategic repositioning. You see, Captain, my people have grown stagnant. We've been the dominant power in this sector for millennia, and it has made us complacent." The tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts. 3 massive Zephyrian dreadnoughts dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding both ships in a perfect triangle formation. "Ma'am," Morrison said tersely, "we're being targeted by multiple weapon systems." Queen Vexara's image flickered, static running through the transmission. "It appears my former subjects have found me sooner than expected. Captain Webb, I'm about to make you an offer that will change the course of galactic history. But first, you must prove that humanity deserves the power I'm willing to give you." The test of fire. The space around them erupted into chaos as the Zephyrian pursuit fleet opened fire, but their weapons weren't aimed at the human ship. They were targeting their own Queen's vessel with everything they had. "All hands, battle." "Stations!" Webb commanded, his training taking over as streams of exotic energy lit up the void. "Morrison, get me tactical analysis on those dreadnoughts." 3 Sovereign-class warships, each one capable of glassing a planet, Morrison reported, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "Their weapons are using some kind of phase variance technology. They're cycling through different dimensional frequencies to penetrate shields." Queen Vexara's image stabilized even as her ship shuddered under the assault. "Impressive, isn't it? My people's weapons adapt to any defense. But watch closely, Captain. Instead of raising shields or returning fire, the Queen's vessel did something impossible. It began to fold space around itself, creating a bubble of twisted reality that made the incoming weapons fire simply miss. Energy beams curved away like light bending around a black hole. "How is she doing that?" Kane breathed, his engineering mind struggling to process what he was seeing. "She's manipulating space-time itself," Holloway reported, his sensors going wild. "Captain, the gravitational distortions she's creating should be tearing her ship apart. This technology is beyond anything in our databases." Queen Vexara turned her attention back to Webb, seemingly unconcerned by the battle raging around her. "This is why I chose your species, Captain. Observe how my former subjects respond to the impossible. The Zephyrian dreadnoughts had stopped firing. Instead, they were repositioning themselves, their formations shifting into complex geometric patterns. Suddenly, space itself began to ripple around them. "They're attempting to collapse the quantum foam," the Queen explained casually. "A desperate tactic that will destabilize this entire region of space. My people would rather destroy everything than allow me to share our secrets with what they consider lesser beings." Webb felt his blood run cold. "How large an area are we talking about?" "Oh, roughly 3 star systems, give or take a few billion lives." The moral weight of the situation crashed down on Webb like a physical blow. 3 star systems contained dozens of inhabited worlds, including 2 human colonies, and several alien settlements. The Zephyrian pursuit fleet was willing to commit genocide on an unprecedented scale to stop their queen. "There is a way to prevent this catastrophe," Queen Vexara continued, her voice carrying an odd mix of hope and challenge. "But it requires you to trust me completely. I need to transfer my consciousness into your ship's computer core." Morrison stepped forward, her face pale but determined. "Absolutely not. We won't let an alien entity take control of our ship." "Lieutenant Commander," Webb said quietly, "if she wanted to harm us, she could have done it already. Her ship's technology is centuries beyond ours." "This isn't about trust, sir. It's about the security of the entire human fleet. If she gains access to our ship's systems, she'll have our tactical databases, our navigation charts, the locations of every human world." Queen Vexara's expression softened slightly. "Your officer is wise to be cautious, Captain, but consider this. In approximately 4 minutes, the quantum cascade will reach critical mass. Your choice is simple. Allow me to help you stop this disaster, or watch 3 star systems burn while debating the finer points of computer security." Webb looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Kane was running calculations on his pad, his expression growing more worried by the second. Holloway was tracking the expanding distortion field, his readings confirming the Queen's timeline. Tanaka was monitoring emergency channels, her face grim as distress calls began flooding in from nearby systems. "Captain," Kane spoke up, his voice tight with urgency, "the quantum field is expanding exponentially. At this rate, it'll reach the Kepler colony in 6 minutes. 20 million people, sir." The weight of command had never felt heavier. Webb was being asked to trust an alien who had already admitted to betraying her own people with technology that could revolutionize or destroy human civilization. But the alternative was accepting the genocide of entire worlds. "Do it," Webb decided. "Transfer to our systems, Your Majesty. But understand this. If you betray that trust, humanity will remember." Queen Vexara smiled, and for a moment she looked almost human. "Captain, if I succeed in what I'm about to attempt, betrayal will be the least of our concerns." The price of power. The moment Queen Vexara's consciousness entered the Defiant's systems, everything changed. The ship's lights flickered from standard white to a pulsing blue gold that seemed almost alive. Control panels shifted and reconfigured themselves, displaying readouts in symbols that hurt to look at directly. "Captain," Kane called out, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "She's rewriting our entire computer architecture. I'm seeing processing speeds increase by factors I can't even calculate. Our quantum cores are resonating at frequencies that should be impossible." Webb felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet in a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Your Majesty, what exactly are you doing to my ship?" Queen Vexara's voice now came from speakers throughout the bridge, layered, with harmonics that made it sound like an entire choir speaking in unison. "I am preparing the Defiant for what it must become, Captain. Your vessel will serve as the focal point for stopping the cascade, but first it must be capable of surviving the process." On the main display, the 3 Zephyrian dreadnoughts continued their deadly work. Space around them rippled like water, reality bending under the pressure of their artificial quantum collapse. The expanding field of destruction now encompassed half a light year and showed no signs of slowing. "Status report," Webb demanded, trying to maintain control despite the alien presence transforming his ship. "The quantum cascade has reached 17% of critical mass," Holloway reported, his hands shaking as he worked controls that now responded to thoughts as much as touch. "Captain, I'm reading massive evacuations from the outer colonies, but there's nowhere they can run. The cascade is expanding faster than most ships can travel." Morrison moved to Webb's side, her expression grim. "Sir, we need to consider the possibility that this is exactly what she wanted. What if the Queen orchestrated this entire scenario to force us into accepting her technology?" Before Webb could respond, Queen Vexara's laughter filled the bridge, but there was no humor in it. "Your officer's suspicion is understandable, Captain, but observe the truth." The main screen shifted to show the Queen's original vessel. The elegant crystalline ship was now dark, its hull cracking like ice under pressure. Through the fractures, they could see the Queen's physical form, motionless and apparently lifeless. "I have given up my flesh to save your people," the Queen's voice continued. "The consciousness transfer was not a strategic retreat. It was suicide. I can never return to my original body. I am now bound to your vessel, Captain Webb, for whatever time remains to me." The magnitude of her sacrifice hit Webb like a physical blow. She had abandoned everything, her empire, her physical form, her very existence as a Zephyrian, to help humanity stop a disaster that her own people had created. "Why?" Webb asked quietly. "Why sacrifice everything for us?" "Because your species represents something mine lost long ago," she replied. "Hope, growth, the willingness to risk everything for those who cannot protect themselves. My people became gods, Captain, and gods grow bored with creation. They prefer destruction." Kane looked up from his console, his face pale but determined. "Ma'am, the ship's modifications are complete. I'm reading power levels that exceed our original specifications by several thousand%. Whatever you've done, we're now running on technology that shouldn't exist." "Excellent," Queen Vexara replied. "Now comes the difficult part. To stop the cascade, we must fly directly into its center and create a counter-resonance field. This will require precise timing and absolute trust between human intuition and Zephyrian technology." Webb studied the tactical display, watching the expanding field of destruction. Flying into that chaos would be suicide under normal circumstances. But their ship was no longer normal. It was something unprecedented, a fusion of human determination and alien wisdom. "What are our chances?" Morrison asked bluntly. "If we succeed, the cascade collapses harmlessly and 3 star systems survive," Queen Vexara answered. "If we fail, we become the epicenter of the largest artificial disaster in galactic history." Webb looked around his bridge at his crew. Each face reflected the same mixture of fear and determination that he felt in his own heart. They were being asked to risk not just their lives, but the safety of entire civilizations. "All hands," Webb announced over the ship's intercom, "prepare for combat approach to the quantum cascade. We're going to attempt something that's never been tried before. Trust your training, trust each other, and trust that what we're doing is right." As the Defiant turned toward the expanding field of destruction, Webb couldn't shake the feeling that they were crossing a line that humanity could never uncross. They were about to wield power that could reshape the galaxy itself. The birth of legends, the Defiant plunged into the quantum cascade like a spear thrust into the heart of chaos itself. Reality twisted around them in ways that made navigation screens flicker between dimensions. The ship's hull groaned under forces that shouldn't exist, but Queen Vexara's modifications held firm. "Cascade field intensity at 47% and climbing," Holloway reported, his voice strained as he fought to read instruments that were displaying impossible data. Captain, we're approaching the point of no return. Webb gripped his command chair as the deck bucked beneath him. Through the view screen, he could see space itself unraveling, stars stretching into ribbons of light before snapping back into twisted knots of matter. Your Majesty, please tell me you have a plan beyond flying into this nightmare. Queen Vexara's voice resonated through the ship's structure, carrying harmonics that seemed to calm the violent vibrations. The cascade feeds on quantum uncertainty. Captain, it grows stronger the more chaotic the environment becomes. But your species has something mine lost millennia ago: the ability to create order from pure chaos through force of will. Morrison stumbled to her tactical station as another wave of distortion hit them. What exactly does that mean in practical terms? It means, Lieutenant Commander, that I need you to do something that should be impossible. I need your crew to think as one mind, to synchronize your consciousness with the ship's new quantum matrix. Only unified human intuition can guide us to the cascade's exact center. Kane looked up from his engineering console, sweat beading on his forehead. Ma'am, you're asking us to create a psychic link with the ship. Humans don't have that capability. You do now, the Queen replied. The modifications I made don't just enhance your technology, they enhance you. But the connection requires absolute trust. Any doubt, any fear, any hesitation will destabilize the Matrix and turn us all into cosmic dust. Webb felt something stirring in the back of his mind, a gentle presence that wasn't quite his own thoughts. Looking around the bridge, he saw the same expression of wonder and terror on his crew's faces. They were all feeling it, the beginning of a connection deeper than anything humans had ever experienced. Captain, Tanaka whispered, her communication station now displaying readouts that seemed to respond to her emotions rather than her commands. I can feel the other ships in the area. Their fear, their hope. It's like they're all talking at once inside my head. The quantum cascade reached critical mass around them, reality breaking down completely. But instead of being torn apart, the Defiant began to move with impossible precision through the chaos. The crew worked in perfect synchronization, their thoughts aligned with the ship's quantum-enhanced systems. Now, Captain, Queen Vexara's voice became urgent. The counter-resonance field must be activated at the cascade's exact center. You must fire everything you have into the quantum foam itself. Webb didn't hesitate. All weapons, fire! The Defiant's enhanced weapon systems erupted with energy that painted space in impossible colors. But instead of destroying anything, the weapons created a standing wave that began to collapse the cascade from within. Reality started reassembling itself, the twisted knots of space-time smoothing back into normal dimensions. For a moment that lasted an eternity, Webb felt connected to every living being in 3 star systems. He experienced their relief, their gratitude, their awe at being saved by forces they couldn't understand. The weight of 20 billion lives pressed against his consciousness, and he understood that humanity had just crossed a threshold that would change everything. The cascade collapsed with a sound like the universe taking its first breath. Space returned to normal, stars resuming their proper positions, and the 3 Zephyrian dreadnoughts found themselves floating in empty void, their weapons powerless without the quantum distortion to amplify them. Status report, Webb called out, his voice hoarse from an experience that had aged him years in minutes. All systems stable, Kane reported, wonder in his voice. Captain, we're reading power signatures that suggest our ship is now more advanced than anything in known space. The Queen's modifications have become permanent. Queen Vexara's presence in the ship's systems felt different now. Not alien, but integrated, like she had become part of the Defiant itself. The crisis is over, Captain, but I'm afraid your troubles are just beginning. What do you mean? News of what happened here will spread quickly. Your species now possesses technology that makes you a power equal to the oldest empires in the galaxy. Some will seek alliance with you, Others will attempt to destroy you before you become too strong. The peace you sought has become impossible, Webb looked out at the stars, now seeing them not just as distant lights, but as potential allies or enemies in conflicts yet to come. Then we'll face whatever comes. Humanity has survived this long by adapting to impossible situations. Indeed, Queen Vexara agreed, her voice carrying a note of satisfaction. And now you have the tools to do more than survive. You can protect others who cannot protect themselves, as you protected 3 star systems today. As the Defiant set course for human space, carrying technology that would revolutionize civilization and a crew forever changed by their experience, Webb realized that they had witnessed the birth of something unprecedented. Humanity was no longer just another spacefaring species struggling to find its place among the stars. They had become the guardians of the galaxy itself. The age of human dominance had begun, not through conquest or subjugation, but through the simple act of choosing to do what was right, regardless of the cost. And in the depths of space, other civilizations were beginning to take notice of the species that had tamed chaos itself through pure force of will. The story of humanity's rise to galactic prominence would be told for millennia to come, but it all began with one alien queen who broke every rule to give them the chance to prove they were worthy of the power to protect the innocent.